Ambassador John Miller stood at the entrance of the massive Galactic Council chamber, trying to keep his breathing steady. After 20 years in diplomatic service, he had thought nothing could make him nervous anymore. He was wrong. The grand hall before him held representatives from over 200 alien species, all watching the human delegation with curious eyes, tentacles, sensory organs, and whatever else they used to see. "Remember," John whispered to his team, "we are making history today." The 5 diplomats behind him nodded. They wore the formal navy blue uniforms of the Earth Diplomatic Corps, each with the United Earth emblem on their shoulders. 4 security personnel flanked them, 2 on each side, wearing similar but slightly more practical uniforms. "Ambassador Miller of Earth, you may approach the central podium," announced a tall, slender alien with scales that shifted between blue and green. This was Xylar, the Arcturian who served as council moderator. John straightened his back and walked forward. The diplomatic chamber was enormous, with tiered seating arranged in a perfect circle. In the center stood a raised platform where speakers addressed the council. The ceiling arched high above, covered in moving lights that seemed to represent star systems. As they walked toward the center, John noticed many aliens leaning forward in their seats, whispering to each other. Some pointed at his security team with what he assumed was confusion or concern. "Something's wrong," said Lieutenant Samantha Jones quietly from his right side. As head of his security detail, she noticed everything. "They keep looking at our guards." Before John could respond, a large reptilian alien stepped into their path. The creature stood nearly 7 feet tall, with tough greenish-brown skin and amber eyes with vertical pupils. Several ceremonial blades hung from its ornate uniform. "Greetings, Earth delegation," the alien said in a rumbling voice. "I am Chief Security Officer Krax of the Council Guard." His eyes scanned the human security team. "There appears to be a significant oversight. Your guards have not registered their weapons with Council security." John glanced at Lieutenant Jones, who stepped forward with a polite smile. "There's no oversight, Chief Krax," she said. "Our guards don't carry weapons during diplomatic missions." The reptilian's eyes widened and the scales around his neck flared slightly. "No weapons? That is most unusual. All diplomatic guards carry ceremonial, if not functional, arms." Whispers spread through the chamber as nearby delegates overheard the conversation. "Human diplomatic protocol emphasizes trust," Lieutenant Jones explained. "We believe that coming unarmed shows our peaceful intentions." Chief Krax looked genuinely confused. "But how do you protect your diplomats?" "We are quite capable of protection without visible weapons," said Jones calmly. "It's our way." From the nearby delegation area, a tall, insect-like alien with 4 arms leaned over to listen. This was Delegate Zorn of the Vespid Confederation, known for their military prowess. "How primitive," she chittered to a fellow delegate. "They send their protectors out defenseless. No wonder they've only just achieved interstellar travel." John pretended not to hear. After years of diplomatic training, he knew when to ignore comments meant to provoke. "Chief Krax, I assure you that Earth follows all Council protocols. Our security team has been fully briefed on proper conduct." The security chief looked unconvinced but stepped aside. "Very well, Ambassador. Please, proceed." As they approached the central podium, more aliens craned their necks, extended eye stalks, or repositioned sensory appendages to get a better look at the humans. Most had never seen Earth species before except in transmission data. John took his position at the speaker's platform. The 4 guards, Lieutenant Jones, Officer Alan Grant, Officer William Cox, and Officer Lisa Ortiz, took positions at the corners of the diplomatic area. Despite having no visible weapons, their posture showed alertness and training. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," John began, his voice carried and translated by the chamber's advanced systems, "I bring greetings from Earth and the United Governments of Humanity. We are honored to stand among the stars as potential members of this ancient and respected body." As he spoke, John noticed Security Chief Krax speaking with other security personnel, occasionally glancing at the human guards with what seemed like concern. Lieutenant Jones noticed too. She maintained her position but carefully watched the movement of every security officer in the chamber. Years of training had taught her to spot potential threats before they developed. The other human guards did the same, their eyes constantly scanning the room while maintaining their formal stance. For thousands of years, humanity dreamed of reaching the stars. John continued. When we finally did, we were amazed to discover we were not alone. Your message of welcome changed our civilization forever. On the upper tier, a blue-skinned humanoid with gill-like structures on its neck leaned toward a companion. The humans are interesting, aren't they? So similar to the Proxians, but with such strange customs. Their guards stand there completely defenseless. Perhaps they have hidden weapons, its companion replied. Some kind of technology we cannot detect. No, said the first alien. Council scanners would have detected anything. They truly come unarmed, either very brave or very foolish. John continued his speech, outlining humanity's hope for peaceful cooperation and cultural exchange. While he spoke, Lieutenant Jones observed a small group of delegates from the Orion systems, watching them with particular interest. Something about their attention pattern concerned her. Keep an eye on the Orion delegates, she whispered into her wrist communicator. The other guards acknowledged with subtle nods. As John finished his address, the chamber filled with the various sounds that constituted applause among the different species. Some clapped appendages, others vibrated membranes, and some released scented pheromones that the human nose couldn't detect. We welcome Earth's representatives and will consider your application for council membership, announced Moderator Xylar. Ambassador Miller, you and your delegation will be assigned quarters in Alpha Wing. The council will reconvene in 3 cycles to begin formal discussions. As the human delegation moved to leave the chamber, Chief Krax approached them again. Ambassador Miller, he said quietly, a word of advice. The Alpha Wing houses many new species delegations. Not all have the same ethical standards as established council members. Your guards might want to reconsider their weaponless stance, at least within your quarters. John smiled. Thank you for your concern, Chief Krax, but we maintain our protocols everywhere. Lieutenant Jones and her team are quite prepared for any situation. The reptilian security chief looked at the human guards with newfound curiosity. I hope, for your sake, that is true. The galaxy can be more dangerous than you might expect. Lieutenant Jones met his gaze steadily. So can humans, Chief Krax. So can humans. As they walked toward their new quarters, Officer Grant moved closer to Lieutenant Jones. They're underestimating us, he whispered. Jones nodded slightly. They always do. None of them knew how soon their skills would be tested or how their actions would change the galaxy's perception of humanity forever. 3 weeks passed since the human delegation arrived at the Galactic Hub Station. Ambassador John Miller had settled into a routine of meetings, cultural exchanges, and careful negotiations. The Alpha Wing, where they lived, was luxurious by Earth standards. Large windows looked out into the swirling colors of the nearby nebula, bathing their quarters in soft purple and blue light. Today, John sat with representatives from the Proxima systems, discussing potential trade routes. Lieutenant Samantha, Jones stood nearby watching but not interrupting. The Proxima delegates looked almost human except for their slightly larger eyes and the faint blue tint to their skin. Your mineral resources would be valuable to us, said Delegate Kira, the lead Proxima representative, especially your planet's abundance of rare Earth elements. John nodded. And your advanced propulsion technology would greatly benefit Earth's expansion efforts. I believe we can find terms that... A loud alarm cut through the air. The room's normal lighting switched to emergency red. The station's artificial intelligence spoke in a calm voice that still conveyed urgency. Security breach in Alpha Wing. All personnel initiate lockdown protocols. This is not a drill. Security breach in Alpha Wing. The Proxima delegates looked at each other in alarm. What's happening? Asked Kira, her large eyes growing even wider. Lieutenant Jones immediately stepped forward. Ambassador, we need to secure the room. Officers Grant, Cox, and Ortiz moved into a protective formation around John and the diplomatic staff. They still carried no weapons, but their posture changed completely. Gone was the formal stiffness. Now they moved with fluid readiness, eyes alert and focused. "What's the situation?" John asked calmly. "Unclear, sir," Jones replied, her attention on the main door. "But our position is vulnerable. Too many entrances." The Proxima delegates huddled together, clearly frightened. "Should we call for counsel?" "Security?" asked Kira. Before anyone could answer, the door to their quarters burst open. 8 figures rushed in, weapons raised. Most were Orion humanoids with their distinctive orange skin, but 2 appeared to be Cephid warriors, tall and powerful with 4 arms each. "Nobody move!" shouted their leader, an Orion with cybernetic implants covering half his face. "We have disabled this section's security systems. Council forces cannot help you." Chief Krax, who had been meeting with John earlier and was still in the room, reached for his ceremonial blade. One of the intruders fired a warning shot that hit the wall next to him. The energy weapon left a smoking hole in the expensive wall material. "I said don't move, reptile," growled the leader. "This doesn't concern you, we only want the humans." Krax froze, his eyes darting between the intruders and the unarmed human guards. "You make a mistake coming here," he said. "This is a diplomatic area. The punishment—" "We don't care about council laws," interrupted the leader. "We're taking the human ambassador. Our employer will pay well for him." John remained calm. "I'm sure we can discuss this reasonably. Whatever payment you're receiving, the Earth government can—" "Silence!" The leader pointed his weapon directly at John. "Our instructions are simple. Capture the human ambassador alive. The rest are optional." Lieutenant Jones stepped forward. The movement was subtle but placed her between John and the weapon. "You don't want to do this," she said simply. The Orion leader laughed, a harsh sound. "And why not? Your guards have no weapons. Your security systems are disabled. You have no leverage here." Jones didn't move. Her voice remained steady. "Last warning. Leave now, and we'll consider this a misunderstanding." The other human guards had shifted slightly, each taking positions that seemed casual, but somehow covered all angles of the room. The Proxima delegates and Krax watched in confusion. They expected fear from the defenseless humans, not calm confidence. The Orion leader's laughter died. "Kill the guards," he ordered. "Stun the ambassador." What happened next occurred so quickly that later, when the security recordings were analyzed, they had to be slowed down to understand the sequence of events. Lieutenant Jones moved toward the leader with impossible speed. Before he could fire, she grabbed his weapon hand and twisted. The sound of breaking bones filled the room. She used the leader's own momentum to swing him into 2 of his companions, sending all 3 crashing into the wall. Officer Grant engaged the nearest 2 intruders. His movements were precise and economical. He blocked an energy weapon, twisted it free, and with 2 sharp strikes, left both attackers unconscious on the floor. Officer Cox faced one of the 4-armed Cephid warriors. The alien was twice his size and strength, but Cox used this against him. When the Cephid lunged, Cox redirected his force, sending him stumbling forward. Before the alien could recover, Cox struck several points on his body in rapid succession. The massive Cephid collapsed, all 4 limbs temporarily paralyzed. Officer Ortiz confronted the remaining intruders. She grabbed a decorative water vessel from a nearby table and used it to deflect an energy blast. The liquid inside sprayed across the floor, causing one attacker to slip. Ortiz spun, kicked the weapon from another's hand, and followed with precise strikes that left both unable to continue fighting. The entire confrontation lasted less than 30 seconds. When it ended, all 8 intruders were incapacitated. Some groaned in pain while others lay unconscious. Not one of the human guards had used a weapon other than their own bodies. Chief Krax stood frozen, his mouth open in shock. The Proxima delegates huddled together, eyes wide with disbelief. "Secure them," Jones ordered her team. The human guards began using the intruder's own restraints to bind them. I don't understand," Krax finally said. "How did you, without weapons?" Jones looked up from securing the Orion leader. As I told you when we arrived, Chief Cracks, we are quite capable of protection without visible weapons. Ambassador Miller straightened his uniform and addressed the still shocked Proxima delegates. My apologies for the interruption. Perhaps we should continue our discussion another time. Delegate Kira nodded slowly, her eyes still fixed on the human guards. Yes, that would be preferable. Council security forces arrived 5 minutes later, led by Crax's second-in-command. They found the human delegation calmly waiting, 8 assailants securely bound and ready for transport. Report, demanded the security officer. Chief Crax seemed to struggle for words. The humans, I've never seen anything like it. What happened? Asked his second-in-command. Crax looked at Lieutenant Jones, who was checking on her team. The humans happened, he said simply. As Council security removed the attackers, Jones approached Ambassador Miller. Sir, we should move you to a more secure location until we verify there are no additional threats. John nodded. Good work, Lieutenant. All of you. Just doing our job, sir, she replied. Outside the room, word of the incident was already spreading through the station. By the end of the day, every delegation would be talking about the unarmed humans who defeated 8 armed attackers without breaking a sweat. The Galactic Council was about to learn an important lesson about humanity. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon wasn't what you carried, but what you were. News traveled fast on the Galactic Hub station. By the next morning cycle, the security footage from the human quarters had been viewed by nearly every delegate and staff member. The images showed what many found hard to believe. 4 unarmed humans defeating 8 armed attackers in less than a minute. In the Central Council chamber, an emergency meeting of the Security Committee had been called. The room was smaller than the main chamber, but still impressive, with a round table surrounded by 20 seats for the committee members. At the center of the table, a holographic display showed frozen images from the incident. Play it again, said Delegate Voss, a cloud-like being who breathed methane and represented the outer rim worlds. Its voice came through a translator device. The recording began once more. The committee members watched as Lieutenant Jones moved with blinding speed, disarming the leader and using his own momentum against him. Officer Grant took down 2 attackers with precise strikes. Officer Cox redirected the massive 4-armed Cepheid's strength against it. Officer Ortiz used the environment to her advantage, turning a simple water vessel into an effective defensive tool. Impossible, muttered a delegate from the silicon-based life forms. No species can move that fast without technological enhancement. Yet they did, said Chief Crax. The reptilian security chief had been unusually quiet since the incident. I was there. If anything, the recording fails to capture how quickly it all happened. Xylar, the Arcturian Council moderator, leaned forward. Chief Crax, your report states that the human guards anticipated the attack before it occurred. How? Crax nodded. They noticed something. Small details in the behavior of the attackers that I missed completely. They were ready before the first weapon was drawn. This raises serious questions about human capabilities, said Delegate Zorn of the Vespid Confederation. The insect-like alien had been particularly vocal about the humans' strange custom of unarmed guards. If they can fight like this without weapons, what are they capable of with them? A murmur of concern spread through the committee. We should invite Ambassador Miller to explain, suggested Xylar. This incident has created much curiosity about human combat abilities. The committee agreed. A summons was sent to the human delegation, now relocated to more secure quarters in the Council's protected Beta Wing. Ambassador John Miller arrived 30 minutes later, accompanied by Lieutenant Jones. The security chief wore the same uniform as before, still with no visible weapons. Ambassador Miller, Lieutenant Jones, thank you for joining us, said Xylar. The committee has reviewed the security footage from yesterday's incident and has questions about human combat capabilities. John nodded. We're happy to provide any information that might help the Council understand Earth better. First, said Delegate Voss, its cloudy form shifting with agitation, we must know if your guards used any hidden technology during the confrontation. The speed and precision displayed seemed beyond biological capability. No technology was used, Lieutenant. Jones replied simply. What you saw was the result of training, nothing more. Disbelieving murmurs filled the room. Training, repeated Cracks. What kind of training allows a being to move like that? John gestured for Jones to explain. On Earth, we have many systems of combat training that date back thousands of years, she said. We call them martial arts. Some focus on strikes, others on grappling or throws. Each human security officer masters multiple systems. I personally am trained in 7 different combat styles. But why not enhance this training with weapons? Asked Delegate Zorn. Surely that would be more effective. Not necessarily, said Jones. Weapons can be taken from you and used against you. They can malfunction. They can cause unintended harm. Our bodies, properly trained, are more reliable. Human history is filled with violence, John added, his voice somber. We've had to evolve beyond our reliance on tools of war. Our diplomatic guards are trained in over 30 forms of unarmed combat. They don't carry weapons because, in many situations, weapons are actually a liability. The committee members looked at each other in confusion. Please explain further, requested Xylar. John took a deep breath. For most of our history, humans fought with increasingly destructive weapons. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. When we finally reached the stars, we made a decision to change our approach to security, especially in diplomatic contexts. Our guards' greatest weapons are their minds, their training, and their bodies, Lieutenant Jones continued. We train to function in any environment under any conditions without reliance on technology that can fail or be compromised. But surely some technology would enhance their capabilities, asked a Syrian delegate, her fins rippling with curiosity. John smiled. We've found that technology often creates a false sense of security. True security comes from preparation, awareness, and skill, not from carrying more powerful weapons. Chief Cracks, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. Yesterday, I witnessed Lieutenant Jones break an Orion's arm and render him unconscious. In less than 2 seconds, the Orion had a level 5 energy weapon that could have vaporized her. Yet she showed no fear. Jones met his gaze steadily. Fear is natural, Chief Cracks. We don't eliminate it. We control it. We use it. I wish to learn more about these martial arts, Cracks said suddenly. The request surprised everyone, including John. The reptilian security chief had been the most skeptical about their methods when they first arrived. We would be honored to share our knowledge, said John carefully. Perhaps as part of a cultural exchange program. Xylar seemed to consider this. Such an exchange might benefit all parties. The Council always encourages sharing of cultural practices. I propose we establish a formal exchange, said Delegate Voss. The humans will demonstrate these martial arts, and in return, we will share our own security methods. We accept, John said with a slight bow. As the meeting concluded, many committee members approached the humans with questions. The fear and suspicion that had filled the room earlier had transformed into genuine curiosity. Outside the chamber, Lieutenant Jones spoke quietly to Ambassador Miller. Sir, are you sure about this? Teaching others our combat methods wasn't part of our mission parameters. John watched as Chief Cracks approached, his reptilian features set in determination. On the contrary, Lieutenant, he replied. I believe this is exactly what Earth hoped for, a way to show the Council who we really are. Cracks stopped before them. Lieutenant Jones, I wish to be your first student. I have served as Chief of Council Security for 20 cycles, yet yesterday I was useless in the face of danger. I wish to learn what you know. Jones glanced at John, who nodded slightly. Training begins tomorrow morning, Chief Cracks, she said. Wear something you can move in. As they walked away, John smiled to himself. The incident that could have been a diplomatic disaster had instead opened a door. The Council wasn't just learning about human combat methods. They were beginning to understand the philosophy behind them. Across the station, the security footage continued to circulate. Species that had previously dismissed humans as primitive newcomers now watched with newfound respect as the unarmed guards demonstrated what humanity was truly capable of. 2 weeks after the attack, the largest training room in the Galactic Hub Station was filled with an unusual sight. Representatives from over 40 different species gathered around a central mat. In the middle stood Lieutenant Samantha Jones and Officer Lisa Ortiz, both wearing simple white uniforms similar to traditional Earth martial arts GI. The audience included security personnel from various delegations, curious diplomats, and even a few council members who couldn't contain their interest. Chief Crack stood at the front, his reptilian eyes focused intently on the humans' every move. Today we will demonstrate basic principles of several Earth martial arts, Lieutenant Jones began. These fighting systems developed over thousands of years on our home planet. She nodded to Officer Ortiz, who stepped forward. Human combat philosophy is not primarily about harming others, Ortiz explained. It's about control of yourself, your environment, and the situation. The aliens watched with fascination as the two humans began to demonstrate. Jones attacked Ortiz with a punch aimed at her face. Moving smoothly, Ortiz redirected the force of the punch by turning her body and guiding Jones's arm past her. Jones stumbled forward from her own momentum. This principle is from a style called Aikido, Ortiz explained. Using your opponent's force against them rather than opposing it directly. A Vespid security officer raised one of his forearms, but the attacker was cooperating. In real combat, would this work? Jones smiled. A fair question. Chief Cracks, would you assist us? The reptilian security chief looked surprised, but stepped onto the mat. Please try to grab me, Jones requested. Don't hold back. Cracks hesitated, then lunged forward with impressive speed. His clawed hands reached for Jones's shoulders. The human woman barely seemed to move, yet somehow Cracks found himself flipped completely over, landing hard on his back on the mat. The room fell silent. Cracks was known throughout the council as an excellent fighter, yet Jones had thrown him effortlessly. How did you do that? Cracks asked, slowly getting to his feet. I used your center of gravity against you, Jones explained. Every species has one. Once you understand where it is, you can control their movement. For the next 2 hours, the humans demonstrated techniques from various Earth martial arts, the precise strikes of karate, the joint locks of jiu-jitsu, the throws of judo, the weapon disarmament methods of Krav Maga. With each demonstration, the aliens' amazement grew. We call these martial arts because there is both science and art to them, Officer William Cox explained when he joined the demonstration. They require discipline, practice, and respect. After the formal demonstration ended, many stayed to ask questions or try simple techniques. Chief Cracks remained the most enthusiastic student. After attempting to spar with Lieutenant Jones several more times and finding himself repeatedly immobilized, his perspective had changed dramatically. Your species has turned your bodies into precision instruments, he observed during a break. But I notice you always stop short of lethal force. That's the point, explained Officer Alan Grant, who had joined the group. Maximum control means using minimum necessary force. Anyone can kill. It takes skill to subdue without permanent harm. In the weeks that followed, the training sessions became a regular event. More and more council security personnel joined, eager to learn human techniques. Some species found certain movements impossible due to their physical structure, but the humans always found alternatives that worked with their different bodies. Ambassador John Miller observed these developments with satisfaction. In his private office in the Beta Wing, he met with Dr. Karen Davis, his diplomatic advisor. The cultural exchange is proceeding better than we hoped, he said, reviewing reports on his screen. Trade negotiations have accelerated with 12 systems, and 3 more have approached us for preliminary talks. Dr. Davis nodded. The demonstration of human martial arts has changed how they see us, but there's a risk they now view us primarily as warriors. A valid concern, John agreed, which is why I've asked Lieutenant Jones to include the philosophical aspects in her teaching. The mental discipline, the restraint, the focus on harmony rather than destruction. And the council? Security committee? Asked Davis. John smiled. They've unanimously approved our request for Earth to join the Council peacekeeping force once our membership is confirmed. Chief Cracks personally endorsed it. He's become quite the advocate for humans, Davis observed. He understands what many still don't, that the same discipline that makes our guards effective in combat also drives our art, science, and desire for peaceful cooperation. A chime sounded, indicating a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Lieutenant Jones. "Ambassador, you should see this," she said, activating the large wall screen. The screen displayed the Council's public information network. The top story showed footage from that day's training session, where Jones had demonstrated a technique with Chief Cracks. The headline read, "Earth Combat Methods Revolutionize Council Security Approaches." "We're trending across all Council networks," Jones said. "Requests for training have tripled since this morning." John watched the footage thoughtfully. "Are you and your team handling the attention well?" Jones nodded. "Yes, sir. Though Officer Grant has developed quite a following among the Syrian delegation. Their security chief wants him to provide private lessons." John laughed. "Tell him to be diplomatic but maintain proper boundaries." "Already done, sir." Jones hesitated before continuing. "There's something else. Chief Cracks has invited us to observe Council security training methods tomorrow. He says it's only fair we learn from them as well." "An excellent development," John replied. "This exchange of knowledge builds trust." After Jones left, Dr. Davis turned to John with a thoughtful expression. "Did you anticipate this when we chose unarmed guards? This level of interest in human combat techniques?" John walked to the window overlooking the spectacular view of swirling nebula gases. "Not specifically, but Earth's leadership knew that our approach to security would raise questions. Questions lead to understanding. And understanding leads to respect," Davis finished. "Exactly." John turned back from the window. For centuries, humans fought each other with increasingly deadly weapons. When we finally united and looked to the stars, we had to ask ourselves what image of humanity we wanted to present to the galaxy. "Not conquerors with superior firepower," Davis said quietly. "No, we wanted to show that humanity had learned from its violent past without forgetting its lessons." John gestured to the screen still showing the training session. "This is the result. They're not just learning how to fight, they're learning how we think." Across the station in the main council chamber, a vote was taking place. The motion to accelerate Earth's application for council membership passed with overwhelming support. Species that had initially viewed humans with suspicion or disinterest now spoke enthusiastically about the benefits of adding Earth to their alliance. As news of the vote spread, Lieutenant Jones led another training session. This time, she started by teaching the aliens something many found even more surprising than combat techniques: meditation. "Before we learn to control others," she explained to the puzzled audience, "we must first learn to control ourselves." As the aliens awkwardly attempted to follow her into a meditative posture, Jones caught sight of Chief Cracks watching with newfound respect. The galaxy was beginning to understand. Human strength came not from weapons, but from within. 6 months after the human delegation first arrived at the Galactic Hub, the station buzzed with activity. The Council had organized a grand cultural festival where each species could showcase aspects of their civilization beyond politics and trade. The event took place in the enormous Central Exchange, a space larger than 10 football fields with high ceilings that displayed an ever-changing starscape. The human section had become the most visited area of the festival. While other species displayed advanced technology, exotic art, or scientific achievements, the humans offered something unexpected: demonstrations of Earth's diversity of thought and culture. Ambassador John Miller walked through the human exhibition area with pride. Officer Alan Grant had set up a music section where visitors could try instruments from various Earth cultures. Officer William Cox managed a display of human literature and philosophy, using translation devices to share Earth's greatest writings. Officer Lisa Ortiz led sessions on human dance forms, teaching simple steps to curious aliens with widely varying body structures. Most surprising to many visitors was Lieutenant Samantha Jones's area. Instead of combat demonstrations, which everyone expected, she conducted workshops on meditation and mindfulness, the foundations of the mental discipline that made their combat skills possible. "I don't understand," said a young Arcturian to Jones. Its scales shifted between purple and green, indicating confusion. "How does sitting quietly help you defeat armed opponents?" Jones smiled. "Combat is not just physical, it's mental. By training our minds to remain calm under pressure, we make better decisions in dangerous situations." The Arcturian tilted its head. "So the still mind is part of your weapon system?" "In a way," Jones replied, "though we prefer to think of it as part of our peace system." Nearby, Chief Krax watched with interest. Over the past months, he had become the human's most dedicated student. The reptilian security chief still wore his ceremonial blades, but he carried himself differently now, more balanced, more centered. "Chief Krax," John greeted him. "Enjoying the festival?" "Ambassador Miller," Krax nodded respectfully. "The council has never seen such high attendance at a cultural exchange. Your delegation has made quite an impression." They walked together through the exhibition hall. "I've been meaning to ask you something," Krax said after a moment. "When your guards defeated those mercenaries months ago, they could have killed them easily. Yet they chose non-lethal methods. Why?" John considered his answer carefully. "Because the goal of true security isn't to destroy threats, but to resolve them with minimal harm. Death is easy. Life is the harder path and the better one." Krax nodded slowly. "My people have always believed that showing strength meant displaying our weapons prominently. Your people have taught us that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use the weapons you have." "A wise observation," John replied. Their conversation was interrupted by moderator Xylar, who approached with several council members. "Ambassador Miller," Xylar said, scales shimmering with blue, light that indicated pleasure. "The council session will begin in 1 hour. Your presence is requested for the official announcement." John bowed slightly. "We'll be there." After Xylar departed, John gathered his team. They returned to their quarters to change into formal uniforms for the special council session. "Any final instructions, sir?" Lieutenant Jones asked as they prepared to depart. "Just be yourselves," John replied with a smile. "That's what got us here." The main council chamber was filled to capacity. All 200 member species had representatives present, and the viewing galleries overflowed with station residents. The human delegation took their place at the center, beneath the grand dome that displayed the stars. Moderator Xylar called the session to order. "Esteemed council members, honored guests, today marks a historic occasion in council history. After careful deliberation, the membership committee has reached a unanimous decision regarding Earth's application." A hush fell over the chamber. Earth has demonstrated not only technological advancement sufficient for membership, but also cultural and philosophical contributions that enrich our galactic community, Xylar continued. "Therefore, it is my pleasure to announce that Earth is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council, effective immediately." The chamber erupted with the various sounds that constituted applause among different species. John stepped forward to the speaker's platform. "On behalf of Earth and all humans, I thank the Council for this honor," he said. "We come to the galactic community not as conquerors, but as partners, not seeking to dominate but to learn and share. Our journey to the stars taught us that exploration requires courage, but true connection requires wisdom." As John spoke, Lieutenant Jones noticed Chief Krax approaching with a ceremonial box. He signaled to her discreetly. When John finished his speech, Xylar spoke again. "As is tradition with new members, the Council Security Force wishes to present a gift to Earth's representatives." Krax stepped forward. "Throughout Council history, security personnel have exchanged ceremonial weapons as symbols of mutual protection. Today we wish to honor Earth's unique approach with something different." He opened the box to reveal 5 medallions, each bearing the Council emblem surrounded by symbols from various member species. These medallions recognize Earth as a guardian, culture, a rare designation given to species who have overcome their violent tendencies without losing their ability to defend themselves and others, Krax explained. In the Council's 10,000-year history, only 3 other species have earned this title. Lieutenant Jones accepted the first medallion on behalf of the security team. Your people have taught us an important lesson, Krax said quietly. True strength lies not in the weapons one carries, but in knowing when not to use them. As the ceremony concluded, a new transmission arrived from Earth. The human homeworld had ratified the Council treaties and was officially joining Galactic society. Later that evening, John stood with his team at a reception in the Central Exchange. Species that had once viewed humans with suspicion now approached them with genuine curiosity and respect. "Ambassador," Lieutenant Jones said, "mission accomplished." John watched the diverse gathering with satisfaction. "The mission is just beginning, Lieutenant. We've shown them who we are. Now we need to show them what we can become together." Across the room, a group of alien security officers was demonstrating their own combat techniques to Officer Grant, who watched with genuine interest. Nearby, Chief Krax led several council members in a basic meditation exercise he had learned from Lieutenant Jones. "Look at that," Officer Ortiz remarked. 6 months ago, they thought we were defenseless. Now they're learning our ways. "And we're learning theirs," John replied. "That's the point of all this, not just to teach but to grow." As the reception continued, word spread through the station that Earth ships were already on their way with more diplomats, scientists, and cultural representatives. A new era of cooperation had begun. The Galactic Council had discovered that human diplomatic guards didn't carry weapons not because they couldn't, but because they had evolved beyond needing to demonstrate their power so obviously. In doing so, humans had gained something far more valuable than security. They had gained respect. And in the vastness of space, where misunderstandings could lead to conflict, respect was the strongest foundation for lasting peace.